Hi, this is Grace Pye.
And this is Sarah Kim.
And we are inside the National Gallery in London. But what are we in front of right now?
We're actually standing right in front of my favorite painting. It's a work by Jan van Eyck, a Flemish painter from the Northern Renaissance. And this particular artwork is called the Arnolfini Wedding. So Grace, why don't you tell me a little more about Jan van Eyck?
So Jan van Eyck is a very popular artist. He uses a lot of detail and a lot of perspective in all of his paintings. But the most important theme is the tie between the profanus and the sacred. So he uses a lot of religious and human aspects.
As we have seen much in the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So in this painting exactly, I have a good question for you. All the objects here and everything, the two figures, they basically tie up to a concept, but I think it's wealth. I'm sure it's wealth. Yeah, so how do we know that they're wealthy, basically?
Well, I think there's many things that show how wealthy they truly are. First of all, oranges, just on the side, oranges were extremely expensive, much like other fruits of the Renaissance. And, you know, just the fact that it's just there, I think Jan van Eyck put it there to show how wealthy they truly are.
Exactly.
Also, if you look at their clothing, Arnolfini was an incredibly wealthy merchant.
Yes,
he was able to buy furs, silks.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Look at that detail, that pleat, that everything.
Exactly.
The fur.
It's just exquisite.
It's amazing.
And I think another thing that we should mention is the dog in the middle. A lot of people overlook this, but the dog is actually a descendant of a long line of Flanders Terriers. Extremely expensive breed.
I see. All right. So that is so true. But when we focus more on the right side, the woman, I'm just kind of confused here. She looks pregnant, but I'm still a bit uncertain. But is she pregnant?
She is not pregnant.
She isn't
She
pregnant?
is not.
Okay. Why would you say that?
You know, a lot of people think she is pregnant because of the way her posture. She's holding up her dress. She's not.
Yeah, I see that.
It's not her belly making an indentation. It's her physical hand holding up her dress. And this was a common style. And
in the Renaissance, of course.
Right, and she is not pregnant. They just got engaged. So between the two figures, you see the tender, loving, holding of the hands, and then you see the mirror.
Yes.
So what can you say about the mirror, the significance of the convex mirror?
The significance of the convex mirror, there's so much about this mirror because it's not just your regular mirror. As you look closely in this mirror, you actually see three figures, not just two figures. The artist himself, Jan van Eyck, is actually portraying himself in this mirror. So it would look like three figures, but this perspective specifically, the linear perspective, the whole story of this painting, everything just draws back to the mirror.
Right.
And that shows a really clear linear perspective of the room. So this basically is made out of glass, and the shape is a very, very particular shape because it shows so much significance. But if you look around the frame, you could see a biblical story of Jesus and the Passion of Christ, and this is very, very important because this ties in with the sacred, with the sacred. So, Sarah, would you tell me a bit more about the sacred ties with this painting, the sacerdotal intermediaries?
I think one of the things that you really have to realize is there's the biblical story, like you mentioned. You can just see from, you know, the holy matrimony, like just a name, holy matrimony.
Oh yeah, it's
and
so
also
important.
I think what I really noticed about this painting and the convex mirror was it's a joining of, like you said, God, you know, and the man and the woman,
and us as people.
Right.
So.
And you know, my favorite part of this painting that a lot of people overlook, I think it's very clever how Jan van Eyck actually put his signature on top of the mirror.
Yeah, I love that. It's very, very weird though, because I would think that they would put it on the bottom, right?
Or the right.
Or the right, yeah. But they put it right in front, like right on top of the mirror.
And I think this actually might have been some sort of inspiration for modern day artists today.
I see that.
For example, I think maybe Banksy, how he, you know, utilizes graffiti art. You know, puts graffiti on his own art as well.
That's
true.
And
this just, you know, reminds me of that.
Exactly. So how do we know specifically, though, that this painting is in the Northern Renaissance? Because we keep suggesting that, but how do we specifically know? Well, like the detail, that's very important. The color, but how is the technique?
Well, like we mentioned before, the perspective was a big part of it.
That
and
was
also,
huge.
if you look at the vivid colors, the woman, her dress, the peacock blue,
bold green,
the
guy with the plum, right?
Yes. So I think those things, as well as the translucent colors and the lighting, and this painting is also done on oak panel.
Oh, most definitely. Oh, this work by Jan van Eyck is completely amazing, don't you say?
Right. And then the other piece of work that I actually wanted to show you is the delivery of the keys to St. Peter by Christ himself. And
that's very
tell me more about who actually painted this.
All right. Well, Perugino is a Pietro Perugino is a
Right.
very significant guy, and he was actually Raphael's teacher, and he was an apprentice to Andrea del Verrocchio with Leonardo da Vinci, where he learned a very particular style. It was like more leaning towards perspective from Pier della Francesca.
Right.
So, but what kind of technique specifically? Because I know he uses a lot of perspective, but ranging more into it, what type? Like.
For me, I think the biggest thing for me was the perspective. That's all I could truly see.
Okay.
You see
Yeah, I
two
see it.
types of perspective. For me, I see, the 1-point linear perspective where there are horizontal lines
I
that
see
divide
that.
the background and, the
Wow,
foreground.
I totally see that.
And
I
then
can
the
see
line,
difference.
there is a vanishing point, and I think that vanishing point is at the door in the building in the back.
I see that. That's right.
And he also very cleverly uses aerial perspective.
The aerial
Where he
perspective.
has the fading hills to the left of the temple.
Yeah, it looks completely in the background,
Right.
right? And the front is completely towards us. It's absolutely
So
astounding.
tell me more, like who commissioned this work? It was in the Sistine Chapel, for what I know. And who actually told him, hey, I want you to make a painting?
Well, specifically, this was commissioned by one of the famous popes. It was Pope Sixtus IV. And this is extremely important because he was influenced by so many extremely significant artists. Because the perspective, the linear, as you said before, and the aerial is just so evident. And this is specifically located in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican City, Rome, on the northern wall, the 5th compartment. So this is very important with detail because you would specifically know like how much importance and how much significance this was really hard to make.
Right. And then, it actually is kind of sad because he got his thunder stolen away as Perugino, because this was considered the most famous painting in the Sistine Chapel.
Oh, most definitely.
But, of course, when Michelangelo painted his, beautiful ceiling paintings, that was quickly overshadowed.
Oh yeah, and the building in the back, it resembles the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem.
Oh, I never realized
Have
that
you
until
realized
now.
that? That's amazing.
And that's a good point. The colors
Yeah.
actually, coincide, and I really do think it might be because of the octagonal and domed form.
Oh, I could totally see that. Oh, well, there's this verse that he was so influenced by and so inspired by that I want to share with you today. It's Matthew 16:18 through 19. And this basically had a big impact on Pietro and while he was drawing this whole painting. So,
And then this verse also it is about Christ giving the keys to Peter.
Exactly.
And this is done in such a public manner.
Exactly.
It's a plaza, and he does it in front of everyone. It's his apostles, and you also have just non-biblical people as well. And I really believe that this is him publicly acknowledging Peter and giving
Exactly.
him his blessing, basically.
Yeah, and this is very similar actually to the painting that we mentioned before with Jan van Eyck because of the sacerdotal intermediaries. The key actually is a good representation because it's basically a tie between Jesus. It's a tie between spiritual and the humane. And you can see the posture that he has. It's absolutely amazing. This
Right,
detail.
because you see Peter so vulnerable.
I know.
Receiving
You
the
can see
keys.
the emotion almost in the faces too. Wow.
And I really do think the most signifying parts of these two paintings, because they are both from the Renaissance. One is, of course, Italian Renaissance. However, the other is Northern. But I do think that because of the use of perspective,
oh, it's completely
and like you said, the
evident.
biblical themes.
The biblical sacerdotal intermediaries that tie with the religious and the humane.
Right.
And
this piece of work is a fresco.
yeah, it's a fresco.
It's a fresco.
That's very important. Very
Whereas
vivid.
John van Eyck's painting was a painting,
Yeah,
the
it was
oil
just
on
simple,
wood.
translucent colors.
Right.
Exactly. So, all in all, to summarize everything, it's been an amazing time talking about these
It
two
has.
amazing paintings, isn't it? All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
It really has. This was Sarah Kim.
And this was Grace Pie.
And we out.
We out.